Good morning, StarCraft fans. We're back with the third day of the round of 8. I again am joined by Voddy. What's going on, man?
Yeah, hey dude, it's really good to be here. I'm very excited for this group personally, for two reasons. The first of which is that we kind of have like the lost Protoss hope here for this particular tournament, you know? They made it to top four previously, but right now this is basically it for the hope. And we also have a personal favorite of mine, Sharp, a player many people were sleeping on, but I happened to have the inside scoop that he was actually sick right now, and here he is in round of 8, tearing it up.
Yeah, you had the pocket pick with Sharp doing very well this tournament so far, and I remember you saying something like Sharp was 6-1 in recent games versus Mini, so actually Sharp could be the favorite.
As insane as that sounds, you could consider him the favorite. I mean, I don't even know. Honestly, like this whole tournament, it's just chaos to me because first of all, the maps are new, so I don't know, which race is stronger in the metagame right now on which map. So I'm not really going to comment on that too much. And also the players, we have just insanity, like Sharp coming out of nowhere and just being sick all of a sudden. So I really don't know who's the favorite here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great matchup. I think better than most people anticipated. We've already gotten through the top side of the bracket, and we know what our first round of 4 match is going to be. As you can see, it's going to be Rush versus Sulky. The Rush versus Hero series, kind of a blowout, but we had a very back and forth series in the JYJ Sulky series. And today we're finally going to get a look at our only Protoss player. On Reddit yesterday, somebody asked for my predictions of this matchup, and I said I'm going with Mini, but I know the caster curse is real, so unfortunately for Mini fans out there, that could be bad news.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and curse the other direction and go with Sharp then so that we're going to have a fair fight here.
Yeah. All right, we're getting into some highlights, so check them out. We got to look at some of the highlights from earlier rounds, and I totally forgot about that game of Sharp versus Best. When we saw the Vulture highlights, and then all of a sudden I remembered that was a wild game. I can't believe that Sharp actually ended up winning that.
Yeah, Best really was so close to winning right there. In fact, he was ahead for most of the game. And then there was just like this one clutch maneuver, this one clutch tactical movement, essentially. And it did snowball into further chances that he also capitalized on. But really, that's where it all started with those vultures. And yeah, I mean, it's a classic weakness of people who just like to play with low probes, attack with everything with the side advantage, to exploit the weak third of the Terran. And you don't have anything at home because you don't even want to make cannons, really. You want to make all units with all of your cash.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna see that from Mini. Mini's more of a I'm gonna be in your face with shuttles a lot of the time. He's got a most of the time different style than Best, but we'll see if Sharp will be able to pick him apart like he did with Best. What do you think? Do you think we'll see anything different from Mini since you have the inside scoop on Sharp? You must watch a lot of games just in general. Is there anything we should expect from Mini here?
Well, as you were saying, Mini is not as likely to play to the extremity of Best did in that style. I mean, Mini also plays hyper modern PvC and PvT, But hyper modern PvT, like what's really popular right now among the best players, it's basically two things. And one is like the gateway frontal attack with the side advantage, and the second thing is like mass shuttles. That's still a thing that has really left its mark on the game. It's not new anymore, but it's something Terrans have to be aware of now. There's like a post and pre-mass shuttle era, right? And we're in the post-mass shuttle era. And I think that Mini, although he plays modern, he leans a little bit more towards that style. And I think actually he's not as one-dimensional as Best in this matchup, which is good for him.
Oh yeah, for sure. When you play Best, you know what's happening. It's Gateway Man all day long. If he mixes in shuttles, that's kind of the mix-up for him. Like, when we saw the actual big engagements in Sharp versus Best, I don't remember there being any heavy tech. Like, there was no Arbiters, there was no Carriers, there was Storm. But to me, Storm is kind of middle tech. I don't really consider that super high-end tech. But yeah, I agree. You get a lot of different flavors from Mini.
Yeah, the idea that you could play with only Storm against Terran, in the past, it would have been unthinkable. It's laughable. Like, what, you're gonna face a maxed out Terran with only Storm? Like, what? But now, apparently, you can do it if you have the tactics. If you set yourself up properly in the early game and mid game, and you ambush Terran when he's moving, you come out of Fog of War high ground, storm him when he's on siege, stuff like that. Apparently, you can actually do it. As insane as that sounds.
Yeah, it's always the worst feeling as a Terran player when you build up your maxed out army, right? You're like, I've got it. I've got the maxed out army. I've got the upgrades. You unsiege and you move out, and like as you're moving, you get completely engaged on, and instantly you're out of siege now, and then you get stormed. Oh man, I hate when that happens, but it's really hard to make that style work as Protoss. Like, you gotta be able to unload your shuttles at the right time, storm at the right time. It's impressive when I watch these Protoss players actually be able to blanket the entire Terran army with Storm.
Definitely takes both execution and tactics. And a lot of people say that Protoss is like the simplest race because their units aren't positional. You don't have to deploy, you don't have to fortify positions, you're just roaming around. But the thing is, when you're playing against Terran, your opponent has a complex army, which means you also need to understand that army. So you can't be an ape either. So if you want to play with only Storm, it really requires an understanding of the Terran, as well as the Terran has to understand himself. So you're tracking his movements, like it's just as positional, except you are, the person trying to undermine the positions.
Yeah, that is totally true. And one thing that I have noticed about Storm is, I guess the one thing I don't like about Storm is, yes, you can have amazing engagements. Yes, you can, obliterate the Terran's economy and they're just down to, 30 SCVs or whatever. But over time, if you don't outright kill the Terran, what ends up happening is Terran has like 30, 35 tanks. And then what do you do as Protoss? Because now you have like a Terran army that's basically unkillable on the ground. So I hope if Mini does go Storm Tech, we actually do have a late game transition to something else.
Yeah, it can be tough to deal with extremely fortified positions. When Terran really has had the time to place every single mine, he's got anti-air everywhere, no clumped tanks either, like what Roy is really good at doing. Then it's just like, well, wouldn't you rather have Arbiters now? Because if you had that too, then at least you could threaten a recall. You would expand like your room to maneuver. And we actually see that quite a bit if you only play that style, right? If you never take beyond Storm. That's usually how Terran wins. You don't have to worry about the air so much, because the Arbiters really aren't a thing.
Yeah. Well, it looks like our interviews are about to be done, and that means we should be getting into our games pretty soon. I wasn't able to read most of the graphics, but I did see something about 8 seasons for Sharp, and also, I think they were talking about how Mini was last winner's ASL winner. We're getting a look at the matchup today, or the maps I mean. We've got Sharp with the first pick of Polypoid, no shocker there. Neo Dark Origin, I'm not too surprised there. La Campanella, even though I like this map, I think this is a good map for Mini because he loves the drop play, but we'll see how that actually pans out. And then we've got Invader 4th and Retro last.
Yeah, so we're going to start off on Polypoid, and in this particular matchup, Protoss versus Terran, it's very close to 50%. There's stuff about it that's good for Terran, stuff about it that's good for Protoss. So a very even match to start off with. It's actually at 51.5%. If you consider like Korean sponsor matches and events and stuff like that. Overall, with like a huge sample size. So this is pretty settled. You know, this is the state of the map. It's pretty balanced. Every other map, though, except for Retro to some extent, but all the other maps are like really up for debate at this point and underexplored.
Yeah, and we're getting a look at the history of Sharp, and you can see all the way in Season 1, he was the runner-up. So this guy has been to the finals before, and then Season 6, 7, and 8 is where he made his stand in the round of 8. So that must be what they were talking about with 8 seasons since the round of 8, I'm imagining. So this guy can go deep in the tournament, but we haven't seen him there in quite a long time. And in fact, it says 2,585 days since the round of 4.
Yeah, so if you could get there now again, that would of course be great. He's so great when he's good, but he's not always good. It's like something, I don't know, it's like the whole puzzle has to be there or something for him to be good. And here's Mini anyway.
Yep, we've got Mini stats. What does this say? It says round of 8, he's 3-0 versus Royal. Then in the round of 4, he was 4-1 versus Queen. And then in the finals, 4-3 versus Rush in that finals in season 12, where he ended up winning it all. But ever since that season, he hasn't really gotten deep in the tournament, I don't think. I remember the season directly after he got just instantly knocked out. And he made a kind of a questionable choice putting Light into his group, and well, we all know how that worked out. Not too well.
Yeah. When he won an ASL, it was a Protoss versus Protoss against Snow in the finals, right? Am I remembering that right? No, Snow lost against Rain. Sorry, that was what happened. I'm sorry. I'm confusing it.
Well, we're getting a look at Sharp stats. Pretty solid, actually. Basically 50% across the board. I think everybody's weakest matchup generally is versus Protoss, but still 43% is pretty damn good, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, this is a small enough sample size that we'd have to really go back in time and like look at the maps when he played against Protoss. Like, was it Heartbreak Ridge, maybe? Because that's a Protoss favorite map in this matchup. Actually, it's Zerg favorite versus Terran, too. You know, so I'm not sure what the maps were. Maybe like it was during the Third World era, another Protoss favorite map, so I'm not sure.
Every Terran loved that era. Third World, oh my gosh. As soon as I saw it, I just thought to myself, whoa, Protoss gets the left side. What do you do, man? Carriers were so crazy on that map. We get to look at mini stats, and just like Sharp, pretty much 50% across the board, but you can see the outlier there is his versus Zerg went right 60%. Yeah. And
that's some beast energy right there.
Yeah, and it was across 70 games, so that's no joke.
Yeah, I mean, his skill set apparently, like his kind of multitasking, I suppose it's very rewarding against Zerg, right? And against Terran, you know, you don't get to use that as much for free. Like, you need to really set yourself up to turn the game into that. But if the game becomes chaotic, it can be very good for him.
Yeah, it definitely can, and we know Mini can make it crazy at any point. He's the king of harassment in PvT. He's the king of unique unit comps. Seeing 30-minute Reavers still being used for harassment is just mind-boggling to me. And it seems that we are ready to get into Game 1 in just a second. So we're about to get into Polypoid. It's going to be Sharp versus Mini. Somebody in the crowd was going nuts. We've got Sharp in the bottom right corner, and then we have, with a cross spawn, it is Mini.
Yeah, and the spawning locations actually matter a lot on this map. You're looking unhappy about something, I'm not sure what, maybe he had a bad split or something, or doesn't like the spawning location. But in any case, the spawning locations matter a lot on this map in this matchup, because the amount, like, the tactics you can go for actually change. So you can actually do a 2-base push only on one particular configuration, right? It's not good on any other one. And, like, here for example, in cross position, it's the easiest for Terran to get 4 bases, because Protoss is far away from all of your expansions, right? So these things really matter. Of course, 12 Nexus always gets better. We're gonna see if he goes for that. Late scout, well, not late scout, but he's not going for the mega early 8 pylon scout at least so far.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of Sharp fans in the crowd. I know Sharp was part of the university scene. I assume Mini was also, but I can't, I mean, if you look at his ID in game, not representing the tag at least. And I think we had a normal opener from Mini. No, it is 12 Nexus, and if this was Artosis, he would already be tilted.
Well, you know, okay, so dealing with 12 Nexus is also very map dependent, because if you don't go for either like a proxy barracks in the middle or something crazy like that, or by the way, no SCV scout yet, so he's getting a lot more cash, and he's not going to see the Nexus first. But the thing is, one of the follow-ups people like to go for against Nexus first, if they don't bunker rush it, if they don't scout it in time, and of course, cross position you may not want to go for that, is actually to double expand very quickly, and on this map, you can do that. Because you can put all your tanks in one area, build a bunker there, build a turret there, and defend everything. So on this map you actually can. Of course you get a mineral only, so if you go for that, you have to watch out for the opponent going carry yourself to the 12 Nexus. Because if you don't realize that, and you just build turrets and you think you're okay, you're stuck with a pretty much useless base.
Yeah, double expand is actually surprisingly good versus 12 Nexus, and I will say this about 12 Nexus. I appreciate the fact that people have gone 12 Nexus and it allowed Terran to innovate mine expand, because before that, when you played TVP, almost every game you saw Terran players just open tank blindly, whether it's with Siege or no Siege, just 100% of the time it was tank expand. But with the 12 Nexus, Terran players got a little bit more innovative, really understanding the power of the mines. And I do want to point out this game, there was a small deviation that Sharp went for. He went for an 11 gas, and I wonder if that was anticipation of trying to punish something like a 12 Nexus. Okay, that probe, you rarely see a double scout, and I think that's going to be proxy something. That bottom left probe, what is he up to? It's got to be Citadel, right? But knowing Mini and how good he is with drops or shuttles, it could also be some type of proxy robo play. So we do have a 2 Marine move out. That's kind of strange to me, especially seeing it is cross spawn, and it allows the probe to come in here and get a confirmation that this is just going to be a normal expansion. Vulture does take down the probe. We actually had a forge opener. More and more these days I am seeing forge openers from Protoss, but I don't know if this cannon's actually going to be in time, because the Vulture is a speedy unit and it may actually be able to run by. Can the Zealot body block? And the answer is no! He actually gets into the main, and this could do devastating amounts of damage. So he gets 1 probe. How many more can he get? This is a really good mix-in with the Zealot, because now Terran can't just patrol micro the Vulture and kill probes. So he ends up getting 2 and he forces off a big probe pull. So already this has backfired for Mini. This 11 gas caught him off guard. Can he get another one? Oh, the probe is so quick, but the Vulture is so slippery. And at bottom left, I think it has to be a Citadel. You can see Mini has a lot of gas. I think he probably built a Citadel down there. Okay, it is a Citadel, so it is going to be proxy. Okay, it's going to be a DT drop. Did not have that on my bingo card for game 1. It looks like, by the way, the reason you're not hearing Voddy here is, I guess he lost internet. He's out of my Discord call right now, but I'm sure he'll be back pretty soon. But regardless, this has been a great opener for Sharp. Now the question is can he sniff out this proxy DT? I think this is going to be really hard to sniff out, but look at this. He ended up actually double expanding. So that means that he's going to be relying on mines to defend. However, it's going to be so hard to cover all of these bases. Oh my gosh, he spots it! I cannot believe he spots this DT, or this Templar Archive. And the Archive is actually quite slow for how the game has unfolded, so he may realize that, hey, this is probably a DT drop. And instantly you see the eBay, and he already has an academy. So actually, Sharp has an amazing build order for this. The real question now is, has he extended himself too thin trying to cover 3 bases? So we've got the Goon coming down to try and save the day, but I mean, it's already been exposed, the entire strategy. I wonder if Mini will actually still commit to this, or if he'll try and just transition. I think he has to commit to it, because 3 base Terran already, if you just go Observer Opener into this, you're just mega dead. He still doesn't know that it's a 3 base, but I'm hoping that he does commit to the DTs so that maybe he can luck out with a drop and get some damage. Well, overall, I really do like Sharp's build order. I keep looking for the armory, but because he's got the 3rd command center, and because he saw the fast DTs, or the hidden DTs, he's not getting this +1 upgrade, which is expensive at this point in the game, and instead is just focusing on units. Turret is going to dish out a lot of damage to the shuttle. It's already about halfway dead. Can he find the angle? The Zealot unloads. Oh my gosh, the DTs unload at a random spot, and it's right directly on a mine, and both of them get hit. Oh my gosh, the shuttle is so low. That means he's going to have to turn around, and this was not the damage that he was looking for. And now that Mini knows that, hey, this guy already has a 3rd command center, this is just really bad news for Mini. I honestly don't know what the best play to go for here is, because if he tries to play for a standard game and just match the power of Terran, everybody knows that that's probably not going to work. So I think he's going to have to try and go for like quick storm drops. Maybe he can drop the natural, whittle down the SCB line, but if this pylon falls, you know, he's not going to have the storm upgrade. Got the Bucker coming into the 3rd base. That's just going to really solidify the defensive nature of this base. I don't think Mini's really going to be able to do much damage there. I guess Mini could also consider going for a 4th base, but the fact that he hasn't sent any probes over there just yet makes me think that he is just going to try and match the power spike of Terran with their 2-1 timing or 1-1 timing. Maybe, actually, never mind. There's a probe that went bottom left, but it is going to get sniped. And we'll see if he will instead try and expand to top middle. Nope, he's going to still send another probe down to bottom left, and this gets sniped. Oh my gosh. I was waiting to see if there was a reaction on Mini's camera, but no reaction just yet. Maybe 3rd probe is the charm to go down to bottom left. I think he got it again. This is a tilter, but he sends out a 4th probe and will now finally get mid-left up and running, and we see that this is actually going to be a factory flood with not heavy upgrades, so this could be something like an 8 or 9 fact timing, knowing that Mini wants to go for a 4th base and Sharp having the massive econ that he already has. He may try and just end this. That was a really clutch play there, because these CTs are quite expensive. You don't want to lose them, and of course, as I say that, one of them goes down. There is the 4th Nexus. We're still only on something like 6 gateways for Protoss. 6 gate versus 6 factory, plus a 4th base already completed for Terran. I don't know how I missed that, but Terran is now going to have 3 gas with massive factory flood ahead of the Protoss. Oh my gosh. Sharp crushing it today. You can really see that he had this planned out. I guess because Protoss players are really going for consistent forge openers, he knew that if he can get the 11 gas vulture timing, he'll have, you know, it's slightly quicker than the cannon, and he was right and was able to deal devastating amounts of damage. No way you're going for a 5th base, are you? We got a scan, and he sees there are Templars out in the field, but remember, there was not a pylon on that Templar Archive, so the Templars may not actually have energy just yet. He's going to snipe 1 Templar, That mine did a lot of damage to the goons in the center, and of course Sharp saw that, so he may try and strike right now with his +1 power spike. Oh man, Mini, he's in trouble. He is somehow up 20 supply, which is crazy, because Terran got away with the greediest opener ever, which is triple expand off of just a couple mines. And actually those were exposed tanks, but of course there was not, I guess, enough vision to confirm how deep the tank line was, so Mini backs off for now. And we are just going to go into mid-game, and now with the gateway count starting to get ramped up, and with Storm I'm sure completed, there is actually a beacon of hope for Protoss to come back, but he's going to have amazing storms. We do have Sharp just moving into position on the 4th to make sure it is not bustable, but I am surprised that we got to this point that Protoss is going to be max. I will point out that I was going to say that I don't think the Protoss has upgrades, but I take that back because obviously he rushed forward first, so he does have +1. So that's good for him that he's at least going to be close in upgrades versus the 2-1 Terran timing. And we've got Mini taking bottom left also. 5 bases for him with supply lead with a good unit comp. Tank count looks decent but not overwhelming right now, and Sharp, he's going to match the 5th base Nexus with a 5th base command center of his own. And in the main of Mini, the probe count looked somewhat low, so we could have a low probe count game like what Voddy was talking about, something around like 55 to 60 probes, and that means that Protoss really needs to make something happen with this attack. And luckily for him, all of Terran is on the low ground. He may actually be able to do devastating amounts of damage right here. Sharp scrambling to get into position. Tanks are still... Okay, that was a good storm. He's going to hit a lot of the tanks and the SCVs, but despite the tanks being on low ground, this doesn't seem like the angle that Sharp or that Mini really wants. Another good storm. He blankets a ton of tanks, but look at the supplies. They're just plummeting for Mini. Meanwhile, Sharp still holding strong at 130. I'm not sure how many workers Sharp actually lost, but you gotta remember he has 4 command centers. They're all right close to that 3rd base. If he just queues up 1 or 2 workers on all of them and rallies to that 3rd base, that will be completely saturated again. And now we have Sharp on the move. Even though he's at +1 right now, his +2 power spike should be kicking in pretty soon. And we know that Protoss just lost all of the AoE in the storm. So this is a great timing for Sharp. Hopefully, for Terran fans, he will go to the left side. You do not want to attack into high ground at the 3rd base, because if you overextend there, you could be in deep trouble. And it looks like he has got bottom left on his radar. Everything is moving over there. And he is going to try and shut down this base. He's going to try and shut down 2 bases. Now, I've seen this before in a lot of games where Terrans attack 2 bases when Protoss still has a real army, and you can lose both attacks as Terran. But instead, Mini's not feeling confident in the size of his army right now, and instead is going to go for a counterattack. He's kind of lucky here that there were no mines set up by Sharp in the middle of the map, so he will actually be able to get into the 4th base here. 1-1 is completed for Terran. That means +2 is coming in pretty soon. And it just doesn't seem like there's enough for Protoss. If there are DTs in these shuttles, maybe that could be the difference maker, but they're only zealots. Bottom left is already dead. Doesn't seem like bottom middle is going to be successful for Mini. Yes, he's going to force a liftoff, but Sharp will probably be able to retake this pretty quickly. We've also got an attack to top middle at the same time. Sharp really shutting down a lot of bases all at once. Top right has still gone unscouted for Sharp, and now he has finally moved some of the SCVs that he built up there. Oh, there we go. That's what I was waiting for. The double storm drop at the natural. That's what Mini really needs to get back into this game, to shut down the econ. And that time around, he really did kill a lot of SCVs. Mini's still not out of it just yet, though. He's still got 4 bases, soon to be 5. I think the Templars still have energy. No, actually, it's going to be another Zealot unload. Oh, the Goliath, what are you doing? From downtown, the Steph Curry shot, not able to get the killing blow there, but the turret will knock it down. 150 to 170 supply, still anybody's game to take, but with top right being unscouted, I'm worried that it's going to be a long time before Mini finds it. Hopefully he sends a probe up there quickly. But overall, the damage was pretty good from both sides. I am a little bit worried about that big clump of buildings that you can see outside of the natural. I can just see it now that we're going to have like a clump of units just stuck there for some reason. Where did that temple or where did that shuttle come from? I didn't even see it. Another good hit onto the SCV line. And we've got Mini up 40 supply now. Not too sure about this unit comp for Mini though. That was like, what, 70% zealots it looked like? Hopefully those are goons in the center to kind of balance out the comp. So many games I've seen of players, especially like Best, who have maxed out supply, but then the comp is pure zealot and he runs into so many mines and everything explodes. And here we go. We're going to have another big engagement. This time Terran has the high ground and this may backfire. Storm, that was a pretty good one. There's not that many vultures actually to help support these tanks. Another good storm. Is there enough Protoss though? And it looks like the answer could be yes, because there's no vultures to support the tanks. Now finally the rally is coming in and this should be pushed back. But overall, that was a good attack for Mini. He whittled down the tank count considerably. It was approaching critical mass status, but now sitting at maybe, what, 10? That's definitely manageable, but his army also got reset too. It's 145 to 145. Probe will find top right, but at least Sharp sees the probe and will probably reposition this base, or at least lay a ton of mines. Actually, okay, he's just going to take mid-right. He's like, you know what? I can defend this, and hell, if it goes down, I'll just have a backup plan. That's an interesting drop. Look at that. Goliath Vulture drop. Don't see that every day. Snipes a Templar. And he doesn't lose the dropship. He's going to go to top middle. Oh, man. There's Goliath here. The Reaver's got to be careful. Defensive Matrix Goliath. What a hero. And he's going to take down the Reaver. Reavers are panicking to get some SCV kills. Really good control to save the SCVs too. Sharp is crushing it this game. Really good control everywhere. It looks like the drop at top middle ended up being denied, but we've got Sharp finally with supply lead. He's got 2-1 done. Not sure what that actual small building was for Mini. Is it a cybernetics? No, it's rebuilding his Templar archive, so he lost it at bottom left. That means we're not going to have Templars on the field for a very long time. And this is going to be the moment of opportunity that Sharp really needs to exploit. With lack of AoE, no Reavers, no Storm, it's just Gateway Man versus 3-2. Every Protoss player knows how that should go. I think there's another drop to top right, and it is another drop. It's Reaver, but he's just going to escort those SCVs to mid right, and he'll be fine. Look at the timing too. It's like it's a perfect timing of the completion of the command center. So the SCVs aren't even going to be out of position very long. They're just going to instantly go back to mining. There is another shuttle moving to the 5th base. He's like, dude, wait, you got this also? Reaver unloads there. Okay, there we go. That was a great shot. That gets taken down. He's gotten like 10 kills or so or something on that single Reaver. Mini really making it crazy. He's getting bottom left set up too, so he's about to be on 6 bases. And you got to remember, Sharp, even though he was on 3 bases in the early game, none of that matters going into the mid and right in the late game, because he's about to be mined out in his main, mined out in his natural. 3rd base will be mined out pretty soon, and that means that he'll be stuck on pretty much 2 bases at some point, whereas Protoss is still sitting pretty on, what is it? Well, actually, I'm looking at Mini's 3rd base. That's also mined out. So Mini is also on 2 bases right now, but he's about to have 2 more coming up pretty soon. Sharp still with supply lead, but he really hasn't found a good angle of attack in the past few minutes. He's just been on the defensive, trying to defend so many positions all at once. We've got a huge transfer to bottom left. I hope Mini transfers his 3rd base probes, because you can see there's a huge blob there, and those are all probes. He really needs to transfer them right now, and it seems like he has found them, and there they all go to bottom left. That's going to be a huge influx of econ for him. Vultures, they're sharking around. He wants to find them, but doesn't seem like he will. Instead, there's going to be another drop. There's a lot of Storm here, and attacking on ramp. Is there another Storm? That one has energy. Instead, he's going to use it on the Vultures and tanks again. Doesn't kill any SCVs. We've got a drop at bottom left. There's action all over the place. And that's probably a tank Vulture drop at bottom left. It's a double tank drop, actually. There's only one zealot to defend. He could rack up a ton of probes. And we've got an attack onto the natural down at bottom left also. Zealot, can he save the day? There's a weakened tank. Okay, I think the Zealot actually will save the day. Just barely. But we have a big engagement onto the high ground. Storm trying to do work. He's doing really good, but the army size is just not there anymore. If Sharp can send reinforcements, he may be able to finish off these bases. I saw Mini Screen move to mid-right, and there goes a shuttle over there, so he's got harassment coming. I'm sure there's a turret set up, though. Hopefully he's paying attention and will be able to unload, and he doesn't really. Just a single Zealot, and this may actually be the move that breaks the Camel's back. Bottom left is potentially going to be breached. Mini is down 35 supply now. Storm gets off but doesn't do much damage. And I think Sharp, he is, I was going to say seconds away, but Clutch Storm on the top side kills some more tanks. Millions of vultures running in here. The tanks, they are going to fall, but there's still 2 remaining, and there's still an overwhelming amount of vultures. And at this point, Mini's desperate. He's got to kill mid-right, but he just doesn't have the units to kill it. This base is shut down. Bottom left is shut down. Mini has been set back into the Stone Age on one base, and now he has just mines, no goons, with no observer, just running headfirst into mid-right. And I think Mini has accepted his fate. You can see the reaction there on the camera. And that means that Sharp, he is going to take game 1 unless there's some type of miracle hold here. Oh my god, Zealots, they all die. And Mini, he knows it. It's over. Sharp, he is going to take game 1. And it was really impressive play from him. All over the place. Big time macro. Able to deny the harassment too. And if I was Mini there, I'd be feeling like, well, what do I do? Like, my specialty with the harass, yes, it got damage done, but it still wasn't enough. But I guess he can find solace in knowing that he took ridiculous amounts of damage to a single vulture in the early game. And maybe if he doesn't take damage to that extreme levels, he'll be able to recover going into game 2 and game 3. But I will say this, coming into the series, I was thinking if Mini gets game 1, especially since it's Sharp's pick, and if Mini's able to secure a win on his map, it is going to be really hard to recover from being down 2-0. So thankfully, Sharp puts a point on the board, so at least we're going to get a good series here. All right, where are we in this point in the game? The worker count is really good for both sides. It looks like we're pretty deep in the game. 20 minutes into the game, 70 workers for both sides. So massive econ. Once all these probes transferred, I thought that Mini had done it. Like he had recovered, he had gotten back into the game. But I guess losing that Templar archive that we pointed out, where he didn't have Storm for a long time. And remember, he only had gateway units, like the Goon Zealots. Like, he wasn't able to find damage for a long time. Now he finds damage with Storm, but by this point, you know, Sharp is basically maxed. And it's a completely different story when Terran's maxed and, you know, they're only at 130 or 140 supply. This drop, I mean, this multitask this game was just crazy because there's a counter drop that goes to mid-right in just a second. Both players really slugging it out everywhere. So, regardless of who won that game, StarCraft fans should appreciate that this is definitely going to be a series. It is not going to be one-sided, clearly. We should be going into a break, and it seems like we are. And once we get back, we'll be getting into game 2, and hopefully we'll have Voddy by then. Well, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we do have Voddy back, and I feel bad for Voddy because he's the one guy that was hyping up Sharp, and out of all games to miss, that was the one to not miss, man, because Sharp played out of his mind. And the harassment from Mini was amazing, too. Like, there's harassment all over the place. We had Reaver drops 20 minutes in the game, like we were talking about. But not only was Sharp defending it, he was also matching with drops of his own. In fact, there was like a 2 Goliath drop with 1 Vulture to snipe a Templar. It was crazy.
Wow. Definitely gotta go back and watch that. I had no networking, so I couldn't see it. I had a networking outage, but I'm back now. We shouldn't have any more of that. But yeah, that sounds crazy, dude. I'll definitely check that out later.
Yep.
But now we're about to go into the next game on a pretty interesting map. This was Mini's choice, was it not?
Yeah, it was Mini's choice.
Right, and it's Neo Dark Origin. The old Dark Origin was like 55% against Terran in both matchups. So like, I mean, it was playable, you know, it was fine, but it was like slightly favored against Terran. Now we don't really know yet. It's too early to tell, I think.
Yeah, you know, I was saying that it was pretty important to me that Sharp won the first game, I thought, because if he loses there and then we get into Dark Origin, which seems like a good Protoss map, you know, there's a real chance that it could be 2-0. And then everybody knows coming back from 2-0 is really hard, especially in the ASL where the pressure is on. You're in the round of 8. You really want to make it to the semifinal. So I'm glad that Sharp won there so that we can actually get a series on our hands.
Yeah, it sounds like he just outplayed him straight up in a macro game. I mean, balanced map, 51.5%, long game, and he just played better. It's what it sounds like. Now, this is not a straight up map. This is a weird map. Can you adapt to this? I mean, first of all, obviously, Protoss is going to probe rush you, steal your gas,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But then you got this weird, like, whoever takes the center can really deny the fourth, right? Like, that's a very key terrain to control. So, you know, that's something Terran may be able to use on a map like this. Just camping on the center.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was reminded of the Blue Storm game. Was it Flash versus Jongbi? It was somebody that had mass carriers on Blue Storm, and it was just a stalemate.
Yeah. That was Flash.
Well, we're getting into game 2 right now. It is Mini versus Sharp. Can Mini strike back in game 2, or will we put Sharp onto match point? So in the top left, striking in game 1, it is our Terran, Sharp. And in the bottom right, we have our blue Protoss. It is Mini.
And I gotta tell you, Mini's style, I mean, he likes to do a lot of stuff. And this map is pretty good for doing a lot of stuff. In fact, he's doing something already. This could be a proxy gate. Could be a gas theft, you know?
Yep, it looks like it's most likely going to be gate at his natural. I don't think it's early enough to build a gate in the main, but it is Dark Origin, and maybe he has something, like maybe he has it planned out. Maybe he could even build a pylon at the third base at the low ground, and somehow it has psi range into the main. But nope, it is just going to be right at the natural, and this
is a good spot. Do you know why this is such a good spot, Nyoken?
No, hit me with it.
Because this is the closest you can put your gateway without letting the Terran SCV rush it down. Because if you put it in the natural, he can actually send 4 or 5 SCVs and take it down. But here, it's like too far away where you don't really want to do that. But it's still really close, so you're still getting that early Zealot offense, you know?
I got a story for you. Okay, well, first off, we got to talk about this. Oh, I thought the SCV was going to get down there and scout it, but instead it's just intended to wall off so he can still get his gas. So he still has no idea that this is going on. But what I was going to say, Voddy, since you were talking about SCV pulls, I played Ample on the ladder, okay? Ample played Protoss one game. And so anyways, he was proxy gating me on Eclipse. And I saw it. I scouted it, so I pulled, you know, what you said, 5, 6 workers. I pulled off. Well, Ample, because he had scouted me, he saw the SCVs coming, he pulled probes off. And so we had like a 6 probe or 6 SCV battle. And, you know, all he has to do is buy time for the gateway to complete and the pylon to, you know, not get powered down. And he got a Zealot out. And then it stuck with me having a Zealot versus 6 SCVs in a late racks. And, well, let me tell you, the game did not go well for me.
Yeah, okay, maybe, I haven't seen that before. That's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty good on short rush distance maps, I guess. Alright, in this game, though, he can't hit the Manor Pylon, interestingly. You really want to bunker against this. He hasn't scouted it off, though, but he must realize, come on, dude, you see a probe that early? Honestly, dude, you should just expect it. I want to see a bunker right now. If you're not going to scout, you could just do it, man.
Well, he at least still has the good SimCity setup that all the Terrans do with the racks right next to the command center. Oh my gosh, look at the probe body block. That was nuts. And we got to remember the probe has range. He can kill that. He does. Oh. And the probe lives.
It does. Damn, that was such clutch micro right there.
If he gets the second one, okay, really good crisis management there. Sharp does actually manage to get the Marine out. The factory, it's pretty far away from the racks, but luckily the building is up against the wall. And the SCV, he's having luck on his side right now. The SCV is bouncing towards the top of the wall. That means the Zealot really can't get good harassment on it. That one Marine in between the buildings, what a hero. SCV is going to die. Okay, Marine falls back. Really good control from
third Zealot coming in though. This is just too much.
Yeah, he's going to take out
so many SCVs going down.
Okay, he's going to lose another SCV. Okay, now he lost 4 SCVs. Now it's starting to get ridiculous. He's lost 5 SCVs, 6 SCVs. You know, as a Terran, you can lose maybe 2 or 3 SCVs, something like this, and still be even in probes. But now we're in the danger zone. 6 SCVs plus like 5 Marines have gone down.
Yeah, I think, honestly, dude, so the micro in the beginning was clutch, obviously. That was huge, getting that. He's surrounding him right now, but there's only room for 1 Marine, right? So the other ones are gonna have to die, but you need a bunker earlier than this. We've seen people stop this on Eclipse. It actually has occurred, alright? I've seen it, I'm not making this up. And when they didn't go 2 racks, they all rushed a bunker immediately, like immediate bunker after barracks finished. Right under the gas is a good spot, so it's in range of the factory. That's the only time I've seen people actually stop this with only 1 barracks and going gas.
Well, with the Goon out, this may be lights out. The Goon is so tanky versus everything right here. Okay, the Vulture dealing a lot of damage to the Zealot, but it's so hard to manage your Vulture and Marines at the same time. Now that Vulture is being 1 hit away from being killed. Even if Mini doesn't end the game now, the problem for Terran is there's no DPS with the Marines because they're all dead, and there's about to be a second Goon. Okay, actually, Terran has an add-on, which I was surprised to see, so tank will be coming.
Yeah, but this 2-gate Dragoon, it's gonna be so difficult to deal with. I mean, he could go DPs after this. He could, like, double expand. 2-gate Goon follow-up is good. He might actually kill him right now, I'm serious. Because imagine 1 tank comes out. What's that gonna do against, 3 Dragoons?
Yeah, I guess he'll at least be able to repair. And that's a very low Goon, which will most likely get killed if Mini overextends. And here he comes. He's gonna try and knock one of them down. Okay, I don't think Mini can get in now. Like they're too heavily damaged, but he's at a massive advantage.
Yeah, so he's at least holding the ramp, and this actually reveals, I think, that there's a second gateway in the main, which is very important for him to know. Because seeing that Dragoon there on the ramp, it basically tells him that. So at least he knows it's not like mega fast DP. Which could have killed him if he had been unprepared for that.
Yeah, I'm also looking at that gateway. You were talking about how far away it is, but it's still close to the main. It looks like it's actually far enough where if Sharp was to get siege mode, he still can't range it. I could be wrong because we don't have complete vision, but it looks like it's just barely out of range. So a cute position for Mini. He's leading in with a Zealot. Now this is so Mini-esque right here. He knows he has a small lead, and he's like, you know what? I just want to end it, man. But you can get punished when you make moves like this, and he is getting punished. He lost a Zealot and 2 Goons, and that means now the gateway could actually be taken down.
Yeah, he tried to hold the high ground so that he wouldn't be... Okay, actually, he's going to go for tank here. Gets 1.
The control was so sick right there. He takes down the mine while also killing the tank, and he knows there's no other mines there. He's probably going to focus that mine. There he goes, but he does trade a Goon for it.
Okay, yeah, he's losing a lot of Dragoons here, and taking out this gateway it's a nice victory for Sharp. 1 Zealot comes out, and that's going to clear all the mines, but there aren't really many Dragoons left to use that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it went off. He didn't manage to kill the Zealot in time before the mine went off, so now he's got no health in this tank.
Yep, and supplies are, getting closer to even, and Mini is on 1 base. If there is some type of Reaver play, and he unloads on a mine, and the Reaver explodes somehow, Well, Sharp could be back into this game. Sharp is going mega all in here. He's building more Marines. He's going for a second factory. You know, I'm not sure if there was an SCV that scouted that there's no expansion, but his read right now is on point.
Yeah. You know, you can actually go 2-fact expansion against a 2-gig Protoss. It's actually not a bad build. You know, if he hadn't lost those SCVs early, if he had a bunker, he would be in a good spot. Okay, never mind, this is totally... He's not expanding right here. Unless that's for a Wraith, I suppose? Yeah. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's for a Wraith. He must know... Okay, this just constant Zealot from the gateway is so annoying because anytime Terran wants to move out, the Zealot just soaks up so many hits. He does kill a couple more goons and another tank, or another Zealot again, but Terran's just never able to reach critical mass of anything.
Yeah, and Mini actually is expanding behind this now, so the expansion and Reaver combo, I think, is really going to seal the deal here. Terran just can't get down there to take an expansion.
You just can't do it. The control on the goons is really, really good. And it is a Wraith. He knows that... I guess he's played versus this from Mini before, knowing that, hey, this looks like what I faced before where you all in on one base, and he's got the read, but... I just don't see how the shuttle will get taken down now. I don't imagine Mini will unload his Reaver and lose to a mine, but we do have mines being set up, and look at this, actually long distance mining out those mineral patches. Now that's a way to get back into the game. If Terran can sneak even just 2 vultures across the map and get in.
Yeah, that looks like that's what he's going for. So like a sneaky vulture comeback again.
Well, that's an overextended shuttle, and without goon support, that shuttle may actually die. There's the unload.
Oh, it is!
I can't believe he actually lost the Reaver. This is such an expensive opener for Mini, and he loses the shuttle.
And the Wraith gets away. Wow, dude. Okay, so now, if these vultures work now, he could actually come back in the game, but he needs to do damage with the vultures because he's still behind a base, right? Even despite that amazing thing he just did, this has to work right here.
Yeah, and we'll see if the goons intercept the vultures. They do not. We have another engagement, though, on the low ground. Mini's got to be feeling so good about this. He's like, you know, I'm keeping turn back, but there's vultures about to be in his main, and the Reaver is in the main right now. Oh, no! If he goes to the main, Reaver can actually defend. If he actually just blew up the natural... Why did he just leave the nat? I don't know. He lays some mines. Can he get any kills?
Oh, the Scarab though. Okay, good.
Okay,
yeah, he should have gone for the natural. I agree. That would have been better. Very unfortunate right there.
He still gets 3 pros, but that is not as much damage as I thought. He also gets a goon, and he does shut down the mining. So overall, this was still good damage. It also alleviates pressure. Finally, that gateway is going to die. Now maybe Sharp can get a push going, but the problem now is the shuttle's out, the Reaver's loaded up again, and how do you deal with the shuttle when there's like 8 goons supporting it?
Yeah, I mean, the Wraith catching it with the mines right there was amazing, but he's not going to go for that again. And he doesn't have to. He can just try to deny the second base for Terran. That's all he has to do, really, and he'll win eventually because he himself has an expansion.
Well, this is a dangerous moment because Terran does have a decent army, but not a lot of tanks. We've got another vulture run by, attempted run by, but this time the pylon wall has been set up. I was looking on the map to see if there's a shuttle anywhere or a dropship anywhere, but there isn't, so there's no chance of there being a drop. That's a big hit. And even though there's 2 Wraiths, well, one of them was not repaired and they both get 1 shot.
Yeah, this has to be it right here. The counterattack isn't really working either.
Yeah, there's just not enough. Preuss did such a good job to kill the tanks over and over and over and over, and even though the vulture gets in, and killing of the shuttle and Reaver, it's just not going to be enough. Sharp is getting doubled in supply. There's the GG, so well done by Mini.
Alright, so a style like this, there's like an inherent advantage to playing this way, because when you're practicing, you're doing this every game on this map, so you really know this tactic in and out. But as a Terran, when you're playing on this map, you only get to practice against this when Protoss does it to you, which is not in your control, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a meta game attacker's advantage in a way, you know?
Yeah, one base robo, regardless of the proxy or not, it's a hard build to stop. I liked Sharp's follow-up, but I mean, he just took devastating amounts of damage. He took as much damage in that game as Mini took in the first game to that single vulture that ran by. So, that's just how it goes sometimes for both sides. This pro
right now is when he needed bunker. Right here, right
yeah,
now.
but he has no idea that he has no idea that it was proxy gate. It's like,
yeah, that's true, but
yeah.
he made the choice to not scout for it, which means you have to just assume something. And when a probe is this early, like, you gotta take the risk. If you choose not to scout, that's a risk you have to take. And I guess maybe he guessed that it was 12 nexus, maybe.
By the way, zero.
Some people do that.
What's that? What does probe have? Like 1 range or 0 range?
One, I believe.
Yeah, still shot through that command center racks though. At this point when he built the barracks and because of his SCV, like, see the SCV at the top? It's pretty fortified away from the zealot. At this point I was thinking, well, do you need the bunker? Because the SCV is actually bouncing quite well. But when you have your SCV building the bunker and the factory exposed, now you got to manage 2 SCV points, and it seemed like, well, this is just my opinion, that the bunker at this point was a liability. You can see just constantly losing SCV.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, it's too late. Yeah. The thing is, if you try to play without a bunker, you really lose SCVs. You just can't stop it. So, I mean, maybe there's a case to be made for not making the bunker, but I just haven't ever seen it work unless people go 2 racks. Then it's okay. With 2 racks, you basically, like, attack the gateway outside of your base, and then pay from there.
Yeah, it just all came to that scouting or lack of scouting for Sharp. But we do have a tied series now, 1-1, and we're going to be getting into our third map after our Hot 6 commercial, which, as you can see here, is going to be La Campanella. And, instantly when I saw this map, I thought, okay, this is a mini-map, good harassment. But actually, Sharp had killer harassment in Game 1. So maybe this could be another good map for Sharp with all the drop play he was doing.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that map, because it's got a lot of stuff that favors really either race, but it could turn out to be a good Terran map, and I'm going to discuss why. We don't know yet, of course, it's a new map, but I'm hoping for Sharp's sake on this map.
Did you say that you were going to discuss why or weren't going to discuss?
Yeah, I thought we were going to go into like a big commercial break or something, but they're just talking about the drink, so I guess I'll do it now. Yeah. So basically, we can't see the map now, but essentially, you got, your inside expo behind your natural, right? But from the center of the map, you can siege the expo down. So that's already pretty good for Terran, right? And then there's like a position you can take in the middle of the map, basically, where if you hold that, you're containing Protoss' natural, you are denying his inside expansion, and basically you got one entrance for both his natural and his third, if he doesn't take the inside expo, so his third or fourth. And so if you just like set up a containment there, that's a game-winning position. We've actually seen people do that. There was a map called Blockchain, which had an inside expansion as well, also you couldn't siege it, and Light actually defeated Rain by just sitting there all game, containing the Protoss, and this is a good map for that style, if you can make it there. Yeah, it's also a good map for dropships and vultures, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and what makes La Campanella good for containment, like you're saying, is unlike maps like Polypoid or Ground Zero, where there's not a lot of buildable terrain, La Campanella, you can build turrets in the center. Like, you can definitely just go mass tanks, mass vultures, and support it with turrets. You don't have to build Goliaths if you don't want to. So yeah, that could definitely be a move that Sharp goes for.
Yeah, you can even make the Great Wall of China and like literally have a supply depot wall contain. Like, you can actually do that on this map. It's pretty crazy.
Yep, I remember the olden days. That was a very valid strategy. Even as you're pushing across the center of Lost Temple, build depots as blockers for flank pathways.
Yeah, on all the maps, you could build everywhere. You could wall off every main. You could build depots and turrets everywhere. Nowadays, instead of having that, they're making it so that it's easy for Terran to take expansions. It used to be like difficult to expand, but you can build everywhere, right? So you can push. Now, it's usually the opposite, where easy to expand, but you can't build, so you can't push. But on this map, you actually can build. So we'll see if it goes for that.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks like Castor Park going nuts over that Hot 6.
Yeah, I've seen Soulkey. He's always drinking coffee in his games, right? So I guess like maybe it's like performance enhancement, drinking stuff like this. Some people seem to be into it.
Yep, we're going into a break and we'll be back in just a minute. And we are back, and we're getting into game 3 momentarily. But I guess first we've got our promotion. Oh, speaking to your point about the energy drinks, I was reminded as soon as you were talking about Sulky drinking coffee quite often. I, th- I think I remember at one of the WCGs I went to talking to Day 9 and him saying that he drinks an energy drink after every game. And I was like, what, man? That's so many. But I could be
After
wrong.
every game, okay.
Yeah, every game. Can you imagine going to a tournament? Like, even if it's
Yeah.
just ASL and playing, let's say the
Five
round of,
games, you know?
yeah, 5 games. That's a lot of energy drinks.
Yeah, I mean, that's so 330 centiliters. I mean, that's like all your water needs for a day right there in energy drink. You know, like that's a lot of fluid, and so I can't even imagine the amount of caffeine and stuff. Yike.
Well, we get a look at the fan predictions here. Actually, 70% in Mini's favor, so a heavy favor, at least according to the fans. But we got an even score, 1-1, and we're now going into Sharp's map pick.
Yeah, a little bit of an unorthodox map. I mean, not every map is standard in this pool, so you have to play on a weird map at some point. And this map is a little weird, but it's not as crazy as the previous one. And it's not a two-player map, crucially. But yeah, there's an opportunity for Terran to take the initiative on this map and to force Protoss to adapt to him in the way that Terran has to adapt to Protoss on a two-player map. Because as I was saying, if you really want to do a two-base push and just sit outside of Protoss's base, on this map you actually can. It's one of the best maps for it, and it's a valid way to play, really, if you're into that.
Well, as a Terran, I'll be looking to see if he goes for a push because, you know, it's not often you see like 4 fact timings, for example, or 6 fact timings. As I mentioned earlier, also the middle of the map is buildable terrain. I wonder if that will come into play if Sharp wants to BBS on this map, maybe thinking Mini might go for 12 Nexus again, or if Mini will be the one that wants to proxy gate again. Our players are ready. It's time for game 3. And in the top left, our brown Terran, it is Sharp. Meanwhile, in the bottom left, evening up the score last game, it is Mini. And you know why he's got that reaction right there. It's because he did not split his probes up.
Got a bad split, yeah, it was annoying to get. Honestly, dude, Protoss is the most difficult race to split with because the probes are smaller to click on. Having played every race at a decent high level, honestly, dude, I can tell you, that's more difficult for Protoss than Terran.
Well, I don't know what the meme is with Sharp and cooking, but almost every sign talks about Sharp being a cook or a chef and cooking, and I don't know what it is, but clearly some type of Sharp meme going on.
Yeah, maybe he worked as a cook or something, or I don't know what's up with that, but in any case, we got vertical positions here, and talking about the two-base push again, if you want to go for that.
Oh,
like there's no easy third base for Protoss to take here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there definitely isn't. If he takes mid left, it's towards Terran. If he takes the back base, it exposes the base to being, you know, hit from over the ledge. You're right about that. By the way, the graphic that we had at bottom right, I can't even believe this. Did you know this is the first Terran versus Protoss game on La Campanella this ASL?
I can actually. Yeah, because like as I was saying, these maps are unproven. We don't know what the best ways to play on them are, what the racial balance is. We don't know any of that stuff. So, very exciting. We're breaking new ground here.
Indeed we are. And this time I'm actually unsure if this was an 11 gas or a 12 gas. The gas looks slightly quicker to me. So I think again Sharp opened with 11 gas here. We don't have 12 Nexus from Mini, it's just a normal opener from him. Gateway, gas. Don't see a Zealot, at least not just yet, so most likely Cybernetics. Yep, there it is.
Okay, and quite a late probe scout, scouting off their cybernetics. And I think that's good, because you don't need to scout to be safe against like 2-fact or something. Like, these days you're not going to die early on as Protoss, don't worry about it. So if you don't plan on changing anything anyway, it's better to just take the extra cash.
Yeah. We do have both players scouting the wrong direction, and Sharp pulling off of gas, so not going to have some type of crazy 2-fact play on one base. I don't think there was a Zealot from Mini, so actually this is going to be Sharp being able to get away with either 2 Marine bunker expand or 3 Marine bunker, or no bunker expand.
He's doing the end scout too, and the reason, well, there are several reasons you could do this. There are offensive and defensive reasons, but a defensive reason is that you're more likely to see a Zealot, because either you scout the opponent first, in which case you'll see it, or if he's in the top right, you'll see it walking across the center, so it improves your chances of finding the Zealot, letting you do stuff like not make a bunker. So now he's gonna see a Dragoon, actually. And he has a choice here. Like, he could try to get away with making a bunker or not making it. If the Dragoon chases the Zealot, he can actually delay the bunker.
Yeah, that is totally true, and it is not going to chase this time. The probe is going to deny the Oh, no, he's not. SCV gets in. He's got some moves on him, and he gets in and sees that, hey, this is just a normal opener. First Vulture.
Yeah, that's very nice for him. I think he's seeing the natural expansion too, so he knows that it's not like GT or Reaver or anything, so he knows he doesn't have to get detection just yet. Right now, though, he needs to get a bunker, because he knows that second Dragoon is on the way.
Yeah, okay, that bunker may be a little bit late. Goons are really quick, and the bunker just started. Okay, he built a fort.
It's gonna be a little rough. But I think he's gonna make it in time.
Yeah, he is in time. Actually, the Goon was not as quick as I thought, but he also built a fourth Marine to make sure that he did have the firepower to deal with the two Dragoons. We do have Robo follow-up, per usual, from Mini.
Yeah, so decent opening for Terran. He got basically the bunker as late as possible. He got the command center as early as possible. He did get to scout the Protoss main a little bit. Like, ideally, you would have a second SCV hidden going into scout right now. But even, you know, what he got, it's good enough for sure. It's definitely playable.
One thing I will point out is Mini did know that the Vulture retreated instead of getting out onto the map. So he knows that the chances of him running around and running into mines, well, that can't happen anymore. But if I was Mini, I would be curious, why did you send the Vulture back to your main? Are you planning to go for a drop or something? We know that that's not the case because I don't see a starport anywhere.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Nyoken. In fact, because he made the bunker so late, he needed the Vulture to defend himself, and that means it's not out on the map. That means no sneaky mines, no threat for a counterattack, so no Dragoon even has to stay at home right now. No else.
You can just consistently rally. I still don't see a starport. I still don't see a second factory. Assuming that means that there's an armory at the bottom side of his base. Of course, we still don't have confirmation, but that's the most likely scenario. In Mini's main, he should have support bay coming, and there it is. It's actually complete already.
Yeah, so he's actually going for Reaver before Observer, and we got possibly a tank sniper? No?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
4 goons.
Barely gets it.
It's so hard to move into 4 goons. Like, I'm surprised he even tried to make that attack. And look at how healthy the goons are, too. A lot of them have a lot of health, so Sharp needs to be careful.
Yeah. Sharp is, of course, trying to get out of the map to lay some mines, because as we were talking about, you know, he never managed to do that, but it's just not working out so far.
Wow, and getting a look in the main and seeing that the armory's not done just yet, I wonder where all of Sharp's money went, because I thought for sure he must have rushed the armory, but that's not the case. So now, what's the follow-up plan? He doesn't have his nat gas just yet. We've got Reaver coming pretty soon. He's already lost a tank, and he's used all of his mines at the natural. And look at that! We've got Stargates, so this is not going to be Shuttleman this time. It is going to be Carriers.
Good map for Carriers, I gotta say. This is a little bit scary, because normally you actually have mines everywhere to see the shuttle coming, but of course he can't do that now because he has no mines, so he's not going to be able to react to this as quickly as you normally would be able to.
Yep, and the shuttle can actually unload behind the base. Look at that. He is going to unload behind the base, and he's going to harass with goons while also probably dropping the Reaver into the main.
Alright, so this may have been Sharp's map pick, but Mini has definitely prepared for this map as well, with a strategy like this that really uses the features of the map. So here comes the big attack. We do have siege mode here though, and a turret, so I'm not sure how much this is going to do immediately. He may have to go into the main instead.
I like how he led with the Zealot, because he knew it's likely there's going to be a tank in siege mode, so he wants the Zealot to soak up the hits while he unloads the Reaver. Okay, this could be bad. He's going to get 1 tank, so that's good for Mini.
And the other tank is out of range, and I was going to have to unsiege that. That's just so annoying, so much lost mining time right here. Actually, okay, we got a second tank coming in, and a turret right there, so finally he's going to be able to return mining here. But we saw Sharp go for turrets, not scans, as his detection, and that means he actually does not know that mega turbo fast carriers are in fact on the way.
Yeah, and Mini doesn't... When I think of Mini, I don't really think of carriers, so this will probably catch Sharp completely off guard. Also, that Rax was in range of getting hit of the goons. It doesn't seem like the Rax is going to die now, but... Okay, somehow he knows he's going for a 4-fact follow-up.
And look at what Min is doing here. He's always sending another unit in first to put the tank on cooldown and then dropping the Reaver. It's allowed him to destroy so many tanks and deny so much mining time.
Yeah, this is ridiculous amounts of damage. He may even get that tank. Okay, that Reaver actually shot the command center.
He can only do that on this map, by the way, because he could elevate your units from his main into where the Terran is. You couldn't do this on any other map because you wouldn't have enough units with your shuttle to do this.
Yeah, that is true. But now Mini is in a great position because of how much damage he was able to do. We've got Sharp going into a 4-fact into a starport, so he is going to upgrade Terran. There was still no comsat. I don't even know if he has an academy. So these carriers are not going to get scouted at least until there's 4 of them. And by then it may already be too late.
It may indeed be too late. You know, normally when you play without scans like this, you will scout them with a dropship. But his dropship is very late right now, so he may not know in time. You're right, there may be 4 carriers, 6 on the way by the time he realizes, and that's way too late.
Yep, we've got another drop coming in. Reaver's going to unload. There's a random turret that actually did a lot of damage to the shuttle. But it doesn't matter how much you damage it. If you don't kill it, the Reaver is still going to get tons of damage done. He forces off another SCV pull. This is so punishing the Sharp.
Yeah, and it is just, you know, playing that harassment style we were talking about, really making it work against Terran here. Destroying, like, what is that, like the 5th tank he's taken out with just harassment?
He ends up losing the Reaver. It was a little bit of an overextension there because of how close he was to the turret. He didn't want to run in and lose the shuttle too. But we've got 2 carriers out. Still no comsats. There we go. Finally, he's going to have a scan go off. But now it comes down to, will he scan the right position? It's so late into the game, he may just scan the main, or it might just...
Or look for expansions even.
Yeah.
Right? Some people would do that.
Yeah, he's probably going to scan mid-left and top-middle to see how many bases this guy has.
Yeah, that fake pylon wall that there isn't an expansion behind is just great, honestly. Because it costs him nothing to do, but it puts doubt into Sharp's mind. And here come the first carriers. He's choosing to reveal the first 2 instead of pull them. And that's not a bad choice, honestly, because he can start harassing with their Reaver carrier combo. It's actually very strong.
Yeah, and there was a gasp of confusion from Sharp once he saw the carriers. Oh my god moment for him. But when you show carriers like this early, this can backfire, because now Terran obviously knows your game plan.
Yeah, it looks like there was just a little bit too much anti-air there for the carriers to really do anything, so maybe it would have been better to wait for 4 and then go for the Reaver carrier harassment. Usually what you try to do is you basically take out turrets with carriers so that you can land with the Reavers, right? But he was not able to do so right there, so...
Yeah, and the Vulture's denying top right. If he can scan top middle and see that, hey, this guy actually doesn't have a 3rd base, you know, there is a actual chance for Sharp to come back into this game. He is down 25 supply, but, you know, Goliaths are very strong, tanks very strong. I don't know why there's 2 random goons at mid-left still, but they may be bleeded off. Actually, we've got a sneaky base going up for Mini at mid-right.
What a strong carrier base to take, dude. When you're going carriers, it's basically an island base because nobody has mined out the minerals leading to that. So, yeah, it is an island base for now.
Yeah, and you really don't even want to build dropships if you're Terran because, you know, the dropship could have been 2 Goliaths in terms of gas, and you obviously need all the Goliaths you can build versus fast 2-base carrier.
And he's gonna scout this. He can just immediately unload whatever's in that shuttle and take it down if he notices.
Yeah,
okay, he doesn't for now.
I think there's just a probe in there. Okay, well, we've got a big move out. We'll see if this is enough. It doesn't seem like the Goliath count is high enough, and there's actually a real ground army supporting it.
Yeah, Protoss is ahead on Psy here. There's more Psy than supply, and... Okay, so to be fair, some of that is in carriers that haven't warped in yet. But still, you really want to be massively ahead in supply in a situation like this, as Terran. Because this is his time. This is when he's supposed to make something happen, right? Before the carriers get out of control. And he's just not strong enough to really get much done.
Well, we've got Mini harassing the natural again. There's a decent amount of turrets and Goliaths here. I don't know if he's really going to get anything. What Sharp does need to do is repair that refinery. Okay, what's going on? There's a tank drop at the top side, and that causes a brief delay in the damage that the carriers are actually going to do to the natural. The carriers actually took a decent amount of damage in terms of shields.
Vultures in the main as well. So this harassment is pretty nice from Sharp. But the refinery being taken down, I think, is even better for Protoss.
man, Sharp did a lot of damage with that single move. But how does he answer the carriers in the Reaver combo? He lost the refinery. He lost all of his tanks that were set up there. But he knows the carriers are out of position, so he's going to go for a big attack. But this is dangerous because the carriers obviously can get back to the center of the map very quickly.
Yeah, all they gotta do. I mean, this is why this is a good carrier map, right? Because you can just be harassing and then be like, oh, let me just go over this little ledge.
There's no speed on the Zealots, by the way, and we saw this in the Bisu, was it Ample game, where the Zealots just were not effective at all without speed. And Sharp is slowly creeping. Remember, he got bottom right also, so he's got another base.
Yeah, in fact, he's double expanding behind us. And, you know, what's happening now is that the carriers don't have that many interceptors. They lost a lot of interceptors going for that harassment. So maybe if Sharp can make something happen, while he's got this timing, I don't know. He's out-expanding the Protoss right now.
Terran's about to hit +2 power spike also, which is huge for Terran. And as I was stating, this center of the map is buildable terrain. If there's just 2 SCVs that come complement this army, I actually think the carriers are kind of a waste. Carriers are again going to go to the natural, but Sharp has already kind of just given up this base. What Sharp needs to do to make sure he doesn't lose to counterattack carriers is spam turrets here. He's got the money.
Yeah, normally if you're floating on minerals, that is of course a great way to spend that excess. Right now, I think his economy is so weak that he doesn't even have an excess of minerals. One thing he's doing though is he actually denied that expansion to the top, at the bottom, well, the bottom right he was trying to expand to, but also the mid right. So this is a 3-base Protoss against a 4-base Terran, about to be a 5-base Terran. Maybe if he can keep this up, he could be able to actually out-macro the Protoss. This is how you would do it as a Terran.
Yeah, that is true. I can see Sharp is getting desperate for gas, though. The carriers are just so annoying at the natural. Mini still has no idea that this 3rd base was taken. Now, the carriers, one of them is extremely low. If he can focus down that one, that would be a good pickoff, and he gets one of them.
He got it.
That's huge, but look at what this is doing. He knows that Terran moved all the way back to defend this position. Now he's going for a counterattack at bottom right.
Yeah, he's ready with some mines in the way, which is good. That's going to buy him time. It's going to buy him enough time, actually. Protoss retreat, so he does save that base.
Yeah.
Gotta deal with these carriers, though. So annoying. Actually, a big problem. I gotta say, it's extremely impressive that Sharp is able to reactively deal with all of this, because it's so much easier to be active to have the initiative than to be reactive and defensive. But he's perfectly balancing dealing with the carriers on one side and with the counterattack with the Dragoons and Zealots on the other.
Well, this is getting pretty rough for Mini pretty soon because he's mined out in his main. His Nat's pretty much mined out. He's basically on 1 base. Yes, he has carriers, but Sharp now has 3 gases. His tank count is not huge, but the goon count is not huge either. He didn't pick off the Observer. If he can get another carrier here, why do the Zealots still don't have speed? Zealots are just dead weight at this point.
Yeah, that's actually insane. Slow lots, just even, they don't even beat siege tanks, dude. Like, they're actually is not good. So here we go. I think there are Reavers in there. Maybe
oh my
not.
gosh.
But he's ready. Dude, is he gonna get the shuttle?
He gets a shuttle. That had the Reaver. It unloaded.
Wow.
Okay, but
he really needed that, because that would have been the beginning of the end. I'm telling you, that one move would have been huge for Protoss.
Okay,
to get that base right there.
Well, this is going to get weird, because now we're in base trade scenario. I'm looking at the map. Sharp has restabilized his natural, so he can afford to lose bottom right. But what he can't afford to lose is lose bottom right and lose his army. We're going to have a big engagement in the center. You gotta remember, the carriers, they can head over the ledge if they go to the left side. That's gonna be so annoying to deal with.
What a drop from Sharp, dude.
Yeah, he's gonna shut down that base, but what about this other 3rd base that he has mining? Sharp may lose that.
Yeah, we're gonna go into a base trade, and a lot of times, I mean, if Protoss has 1 base, that's all they need, because they make money. They spend their money at their carriers, right?
Sharp, I mean, Mini didn't kill bottom right because he thought the Reaver was actually just going to run over there and kill everything. We've got a 4 Goliath drop in the main. The Reaver doesn't seem like he has Scarabs, so the shuttle or the Reaver may just die. And yes, there are 6 carriers, but there's no support for the carriers. Goliath will win this battle.
Okay, I don't know, he probably doesn't have a Temporal Archive, so I don't think that he can go for the Concepts and make a DP, because I don't think he would have speed for sure if he had that, right? So he doesn't have that. But what it's got going for him is that if he can supply block the Terran, then Terran cannot make alliance, but he can still make interceptors. That's why base trading is actually pretty good with carriers. Do we have a base for Terran even at this point? No, it doesn't look like it.
Oh, this is
so I think Mini's doing it.
Wild game. We've got the tank overlooking the 3rd base now. Mini has a lot of money banked up for those interceptors that you're saying. Terran Where's the econ? I guess because Mini harassed the natural so much, there's actually a lot of minerals there for Sharp to continue mining.
Yeah, so we do have some income for both players. So when I said you can siege the Inside Expo, you can siege the mineral, but you can't siege the Nexus, and that's really what Sharp needs to take out here. So I gotta say, one base versus one base favors Protoss when you have this many carriers.
Well, we'll see. Mini's down so much supply, but you gotta think that it's probably a lot of worker. Oh, look at the command center at bottom right. It actually didn't die. If he can rebuild and transfer SCVs over there, he may be able to actually get some more econ coming in. Goliath's dealing a lot of damage to the carriers, but you gotta actually kill them if you're gonna bleed off Goliath like this.
Yeah, he's just picking off units as they're coming out, but it seems like the main army of Sharp is returning now.
Yeah, the main army, and we've got...
Oh, they ran into mines, didn't they? Those Dragoons?
Yeah, they did run into mines. What are these Goliaths doing? They're on rally. They're not attacking the carriers. Doesn't seem like there's actually that many interceptors for Mini anymore. Okay, maybe... Oh, where'd those two Reavers have come from? I guess the game was bugged out and they just appeared?
Yeah, it was. The game was bugged, but okay, here we are. It's good.
Wow. Do you see
this? This is on the stream, like... This is actually on the ASL stream, so we can't do anything about it, but... so what do we have here? It looks like we skipped a little bit of time.
Yeah, do you see the supply? It was in favor of Sharp, and all of a sudden we're down to 55 supply, so I guess it's not as close as we thought. And Mini, he is going to probably take
he gets the Reaver? Okay.
Actually,
he's going to get a carrier too, isn't he?
Actually, I don't know who's going to win this game, because if we look at Mini's money, he has no money, man. But also at the same time, Sharp has no army. Oh, that's a lot of goons.
Oh no, you can siege the Nexus. Okay, so, sorry, new map, guys. First PvP on this map. But apparently you can siege the Nexus if you really go close. And that's what he's been doing. That's why we got long distance mining. But he's gonna clean it up now with Dragoons. And, it's gonna go back to an actually one-base Protoss versus one-base Terran. And I gotta say again, well, if you have enough carriers, it does favor Protoss. And we do have 6. So yeah, one base has to be good for Protoss at this point.
Okay, there's a lot of goons. There's a Reaver. There's obviously a lot of carriers. There's an observer too, so he sees that there's no mines. I think if Mini just goes right now, he'll be able to overwhelm the army. Of course, we know that he doesn't. That could be a fire bat, and that could rack up a lot of damage real quick.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah, that could actually, I mean, that's like a DP in your mineral line. Like, that could actually win the game. We got a hidden expo. Well, it's not hidden because we've got pylons there, actually, but, I don't know, man. Even supply with carriers. The thing is, a lot of, so that firebat's gonna go to town there. And that has to be like the only chance for Sharp, but I don't think he has enough units.
Yeah, he doesn't have any way to engage the Reaver. The Reaver is just so ridiculous versus Goliath. And Mini, he should take this game, unless the Cloaked Wraith or something appear out of nowhere.
Alright, well, given the early game, it's still impressive that Sharp made it this far. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think the way he played, if he hadn't been behind in the early game, it looks like he would have won this game.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he was going to win up until a minute ago where those Reavers appeared out of nowhere. 33 kill Reaver, that's crazy. And that means that Mini, he is now one game away in a wild game.
Yeah, he really came prepared to this map. I mean, that was like some mega Reaver harassment with insane support. You could never have an normal map. You could never do that. And Sharp just wasn't ready for it because, again, we've never played a TVP on this map in ASL before. It's a new map. But Sharp really getting flabbergasted by that well-prepared opening, I think. And then going for the Reaver, I mean, the carrier after the Reaver, is just like a classic carrier-Reaver Stork combo, you know?
Yeah, I think Sharp had a great answer to it, though. Expanding all over the place, really making Protoss commit really hard to one side of the map and then countering when he knows that. But just
that part of the game was great. Yeah. And that's the standard way. If you're gonna out macro and not all in carriers, that's like the standard way that we've discovered that you would do it, right? And clearly he's good at that. He came in with a disadvantage.
Well, I wonder where the game broke. It looks like it broke when we had... Remember when the carriers moved to the right side? Because the shuttle is still alive, right? So I guess that shuttle snipe that we saw actually didn't really happen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess... Oh, damn. All right. That's a desynchronization error right there. Okay.
Yeah, and then just losing all your bases at once. And then, okay, well, this... Wow, that's a lot of damage. He blows up basically all the Goliaths, and he blows up all the SCVs. So there went all the econ of Sharp. But as I say that, there's still 56 probe or SCVs remaining. We still
Yeah,
have
I think. Yeah, that's so. At this point, I mean, once you get it down to one base versus one base, and you have carriers, you almost never lose. Honestly.
oh, but look at this. Actually, he had the carriers cornered, and he did a lot of
Yeah,
it.
one cloaked wraith right there would have been sick.
Yeah, look at the
Oh, there were an observer.
look at the worker count, 46 to 12. Yeah, one observer would have been nasty in this scenario, or one cloaked wraith would have been crazy, but uh
I guess you can't do it on this map, but on other maps, like if the carriers ever overextend above your natural and you surround the area with Goliaths so that observers can't reach it, then you can pick them off with the Cloaked Wraith and force them to escape over your Goliaths. But due to the terrain on this, due to this being such a good carrier map, I suppose that wasn't really an option right here.
yeah, and these Reavers, they're just untouchable when all you have is Goliath. You never want to commit to it, but I actually think Sharp needed to just go in. But I guess he does have this flanking amount of units in the back. He thought he had enough to deal with these three carriers, but the Reavers are just so strong in combination. Now that's a
Yeah,
massive hit. The problem for Sharp here was he only had one tank, so he could never kill the Reavers.
yeah. The thing is, when you have to spread out your tanks, like I gotta siege this space with one tank, I gotta siege this space with one. You're gonna bleed tanks because there's gonna be like, oh, you don't have alliance here. I'm gonna drop zealots on this one. Oh, my carriers are gonna get this tank. So it really makes you bleed tanks over time, and you're forced to play that way. And then you end up in a situation where the Reavers become extremely strong, as we're seeing.
Indeed. And that means we are one game away from Mini potentially, or from Mini going into the next round if he gets a win here on map 4, which is going to be his map pick. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's going to be Invader, so we're going to have another two-player map.
Oh, that's rough because if he can make it to retro, that would be a great map for Sharp. But first, he's gonna play an Invader, and if he loses here, it doesn't matter. So I don't know, man. Invader, it's a new map, of course, but it's been played a little bit more, I think, in race war events and KCM and stuff. And let me actually double check, but so far it's been a good map for Protoss, I think, actually. I don't know about how much, though.
Yeah, I think that is true, but we've got to break first, and then we'll be back with potentially our final game of the series. It is time to get into game 4. You know what I was thinking during the break is that game was so crazy, the game broke, and we still thought what we were seeing was a legit game.
Yeah,
Usually,
usually you're like, this doesn't look right. What's going on here?
yeah, I don't think I've ever been in a game where I thought that what we were seeing was still legit. So that just tells you how wild these games have been today. Sharp, even though he is down 2-1, the games have been quite epic. And now Mini, he's on match point, looking to end it here on Invader.
Yeah, and during the break, I was looking up the statistics for Invader, and actually, it's been played about the same amount so far as La Campanella, which is not that much, but it's been played a decent amount, like a few hundreds of games. And it's very balanced in every matchup, except Protoss versus Terran, because Protoss versus Terran on this map is actually 57.7% in favor of Protoss. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, because Sulfid actually changed massively during its period, but it does mean that right now, most Terrans have not figured out how to play satisfactorily on this map against Protoss.
Well, if you're a Terran fan, you hope Sharp figures it out this game because he needs a win here. Otherwise, he's out. Our players are ready. It is time to get into our 4th game of the day. And in the bottom right position, our white Terran, it is Sharp. Meanwhile, in the top left, of course, we do have Mini.
Yeah, and I will not be surprised to see an early probe come out from this guy on a map like this. This map isn't as small, but it is a 2-player map, so you know where the opponent is.
Yep, and based on the game on Dark Origin, Sharp sent out a quick SCV. I'm sure Mini... Well, he sent a quick SCV to his ramp. He didn't necessarily go down, but Mini may be taking that into account here that, hey, this guy's going to sack a little bit of econ this game to go for a fast scout. Maybe I'll just play normally and get ahead that way. We do see only 2 games of Terran versus Protoss on this map, and it is just 1-1.
Yeah, you actually touched on something interesting there. Because when small 2-player maps started being added to the professional scene during the Kespa era, like Hitchhiker maps like that, obviously Protosses were like, well, I'm just gonna send a probe in and kill you, right? And the first response Terrans had was actually to put an SCV on the ramp. But if you do that, and Protoss doesn't send the probe, that's just bad for you, right? And we actually see some Protoss users, most will send the probe, but Best in particular actually will often forego the probe and just not scout at all and get ahead for free, with more cash.
Well, I wonder if Sharp will just use this SCV to build a forward Rax, and the answer is no. He is just going to build it in his main.
He was scouting for a gateway in his natural, because if it's that close to you, you can and probably should send SCVs, as I was talking about on the game number 2, right? But he's not going to see anything, so this looks like a Nexus first.
Yep, Nexus first, and actually Sharp even scouted his main for proxy gates, but he cut a lot to do that, and he followed up with an 11 gas. So this is pretty much a typical 12 gas timing, but it's with 11 SCV. So already Mini has done good damage unknowing to him, and probe now just coming across the map, and we'll see that we've just got a normal build coming in from Sharp.
Yeah, there's one important thing we have to talk about here, which is that obviously, okay, by the way, this probe might actually deny scouting. That would be insane, because it is 12 Nexus. Okay, no, it gets paused. So, a common response to Nexus first, of course, is to bunker rush it, as we all know. But on this map, you see those eggs? They're actually an issue for when you're bunker rushing, because usually what happens is... Oh, by the way, this might be insane. No, okay. Usually what happens is that, as the Dragoons are coming out, you block them on the ramp with SCVs, when you're building a bunker in the natural and killing everything. And yeah, you have a narrow ramp on this map, but if you mineral walk, your SCVs will go through the eggs because they're considered units. But the Dragoon, of course, will go between the eggs, so it makes it a bit more difficult to actually block the ramp that way.
Okay, not something that I had considered on this map. We've got a 2-gate follow-up for Protoss, and we've got no more Marines out of Terran, so he's just going to expand behind this.
Interesting. Now, obviously, you cannot really double expand on a map like this as a reaction, so he might go for like a dropship. Some people go for, fast drop, even with a proxy starboard even. Although it doesn't look like it. It's going to be the case in this game.
No way. He just instantly kills the Marine. I mean, I didn't expect him to get damage done, but I didn't expect the Marine to die that quickly either.
Right. That's crazy, dude. Alright, so you're just gonna expand now, and I really wonder what he's got planned here. Because you gotta do something about Nexus first.
Yeah, you must do something, and now he's just in deep trouble and bleeding off a Marine. Now Mini probably knows that, well, you're not going for a mass Marine attack, because if you were, you wouldn't have just thrown that single Marine at me.
Yeah, he knows. And knowing that there's no bunker rush coming, it's actually a big deal, because he can really tech quickly. You know, there's a lot he can do that he wouldn't be willing. Like, he could skip range, for example, right? And go faster tech.
Okay, well this makes it a little bit hard to do the patrol micro with the single zealot supporting the probe, and he does get one of them, but he's gonna have to back off for now. Sharp might be in trouble here because we've got goons and zealots coming across the map, but I think the bunker should be in time.
I'll tell you, if he's going for a double expansion, it has to be to the expansion to the left of his main, right? Because then maybe he could like wall off the top and then put everything there, and maybe that could work, but I am worried for Sharp here.
Well, that Marine's gonna die, and if you're Protoss...
Does he even have it in a bunker?
Yeah, he has one Marine. He may just run by. If I was Protoss there, I would attempt to run by, but he's not gonna do it.
Yeah, that's a potentially game-winning move that we've actually seen work at very high level, even. Just walking by the bunker like this.
Well, there's soon to be 5 Dragoons here, and they should have range pretty soon. Like, he may be able to just end the game. I like the defensive mines. If there is a run by or a jump on the bunker, like try and surround it with the Dragoons will get blown up by these mines. But it looks like he is just going to wait for range.
Yeah, that's very true. And if he can isolate these with mines behind and then get a tank, and force the Protoss to move either forward into the mines or backwards into the mines, that could be pretty good too. But yeah, we already have a third base on the way, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to deny that with these vultures. Maybe Shark can run for a counterattack angle, but Mini is not greedily sending every Dragoon forward. He's leaving a few behind, so it's not going to really do anything.
Well, we got a tank popping out. Gotta be careful. You have one tank. There's also a zealot there, and he may do this. He can pull the mine into the SCVs, and he gets the tank!
Yeah, do you see that SCV there blocking? That was an unfortunately timed and placed SCV in the way of the tank right there.
Yeah, that type of stuff is what really tilts me when I play. It's like, dude, you see me getting attacked by goons, right? Can't you just move? No.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. So second tank comes out now, and imagine having 2 tanks now instead of 1. You'd be able to actually just pick these goons off. It would be fine, you know?
Yeah. The goons are going to pick off the vultures in the center of the map also. And now, Mini can pretty much do whatever he wants, and he's decided that he wants to go for just normal opener observer. No support bay anywhere, I don't think.
So no third is out yet. And Sharp essentially knows that, because he's been scouting the bases. He knows that this is about to be taken, though. But, like, when you're up against 12 Nexus and you don't do anything about it, not only are you economically behind, but you're actually behind in units, too. Like, you're behind in every way. So getting enough units to survive and scouting the main of the Protoss really isn't possible, so he actually has to fear carriers right now. There could be carriers here and he has no idea.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to come in here and see that there's a probe over here, but, you know, for a 12 Nexus opener, to get a third Nexus at 7 minutes, that's pretty late. I would have alarm bells going off that this could be carriers for sure. We've got an armory almost done, but this is 7:15. That armory should have been done a while ago, so the upgrades are also going to be late for Sharp. If he's going to win this game, he's going to need to take it to the ultra late game.
Yeah, he's going to have to be like Flash, like 4 base, you know, Mega Macro. That's the only way to win right now for sure. That's the way you win when you're better than your opponent. But is he really better than Mini? They seem very evenly matched, right? He didn't win in the first macro game, to be fair.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure. Third Nexus has gone down for Mini. We do have more factories coming in for Sharp, up to his third one right now.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go for several factories just to even take a third. I mean, he can't push the Protoss and like set up a containment or anything, because he doesn't have enough units. But he can't expand quickly either, so he has to make lots of factories just to take a third base. Just to not die.
Yeah, that is so true. And we do have the observer scouting, so at least for now, Mini knows that, well, I don't have to worry about a Reaver exactly at this point. This is a 5-fact follow-up, by the way. And the way the armory was timed, this could actually be for a +1 timing. He doesn't necessarily need to build a command center behind this.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be pushing out with +1, and basically his choice is going to happen at that point, where he can choose to either stay in his base for even longer and get +2, or get +1 armor and push out to at least sort of take a third or something. Ooh. At that point. I don't really believe in the 2-base attack angle.
Well, we've got a 6-fact coming in, so this is all in for Sharp. He's got to have to win with this, and we do have actually Protoss going for what looks to be carriers again because the cybernetics is spinning, and 6-fact is actually pretty decent, but this is a 6-fact into a 12 Nexus carrier. This is not the same thing.
Yeah, this is not your grandma's 6-fact versus carrier, that's for sure. So the 2-base attack might actually be what he has to go for. He scans the carriers in good time too, and so it may actually be his best shot here to go for that 6-fact on him. Because going carriers, of course, creates a timing. It's a very long transition for Protoss.
Well, this is a ton of Dragoons, and we know how good Mini is with the Reaver. He's got, damn, that is so many goons. He's got like 24 Dragoons. This is really going to buy him a lot of time. There's only 6 tanks right now.
Okay, so I suppose the one thing he's got going for him is the terrain of this map. The rush distance to the 3rd base of Protoss is indeed very short. So that's good at least.
Well, I'll say this, he's going for a timing. That means he needs to not bleed off any vultures. You gotta have as much stuff as you possibly can. I think what he's doing right now is trying to draw the units out of position so he can actually get these tanks into a good position, and that's what he's done. But Mini sees it. He's going pretty far forward. He's very lucky that Protoss didn't just jump on this instantly. And as I say that, here he comes. Almost a full surround on the tanks. Zealot bomb. There's no Reaver actually. Look at that massive shot. He blows up 5 goons.
Okay, he walked a little bit too far. He needed to walk slightly less and siege slightly earlier. Then this would have been a pretty good fight. Even though Sharp is salvaging it decently well, every single tank was taken out, so that was really good enough for Mini.
Yeah, I was worried that the move out was too far and he gets punished instantly. Now he's reset back down to 1 tank, and it's going to be so hard to push now, because how do you kill the ground army?
Dude, he's going carriers. We're talking about this timing that creates, but he's like killing Terran while going carriers.
I know. It's crazy. Supplies are really close, 93 to 84. You got to remember there's probably 12 supply in carriers. So in terms of actual army right now out in the field, you know, pretty much dead even. Oh, we have a 7th factory going down for Sharp, so he's just really going for it. But after losing so many tanks and only having, okay, I guess he does have double add-on, but 2 tanks, he can't feel confident to move out with just that.
Yeah, he really can't. You know, if he had played perfectly, there could have been a slight, very narrow, very difficult path to victory here. As you were saying, he pulled the Protoss away with the vultures so that he could advance, you know, with his tanks. But then he kept advancing with the tanks when the vultures were no longer being chased. And when you no longer have that threat letting you move freely, you have to stop moving, you know?
Oh no. Sharp is trying to take a 3rd base while going 7 factories. I mean, I guess you kind of have to, right? But that's a lot of resources that aren't in units when you're going for kind of a big all-in.
It's just that he's floating on minerals because you know how it is. Like, you gotta upgrade, you gotta make allies, you gotta make tanks. So he's like, well, I mean, I might as well try to make a command center because what else am I gonna spend this on, right? He's not gonna make vultures only and then make factories. That's not really an option.
Yeah. Well, his supply is still pretty damn high relative to Protoss. We've got 140 to 123. If he can get his 3rd base up and running, if we look at the map, it's not like Protoss has any other bases either. It's just 3 bases, which Terran is not scared of 3-base Protoss if Terran can get 3 bases themselves.
That's true. Mini was thinking, I just have to survive here. He's got 7 fact and 2 base. I'm getting carriers. Why should I expand again? And that's true, but he doesn't have that insurance of winning by default if the game goes on long enough since he's not ahead on bases. Going for a counterattack here, actually buying a lot of time. This is so strong when you go on carriers.
Yeah, what Sharp needs to do right now is consistently scan and knock out the observers and lay out just a billion mines, and then maybe try and push the 3rd while sitting on that high ground platform. But he didn't eliminate the observer, so Mini will just be able to continuously do this. counterattack style. Just act like he's going for a big counter.
Yeah, you actually play a little bit like Zerg, where you're like always sniping observers so that your mines can work. It's very strong against carriers actually, and Light, in fact, will always max out with a vessel against carriers. His last 2 supply is always a vessel so that he can just move down all of the observers, But that's when you're playing a macro game. We have an all-in right here, and the all-in really isn't looking that scary.
Yeah, well, I'm actually feeling like Sharp has already evened it up, kinda. There's only 4 carriers. That's not critical mass. There's a lot of Goliaths out, and also high ground at the top, and also there's high ground for Terran right here. Zealots, if they funnel into a lot of spider mines.
A lot of interceptors going down right now, and losing a lot of units. That was so good by Sharp, actually. Coming back just in time to defend this choke point. And, I actually agree with you. It's not as all-in as it may have seemed, because he hasn't expanded. So, at this point, yeah, you're delaying the Terran, but delaying for what? He has the same amount of bases as you do.
Yeah, it's actually kind of turned into a mini all-in. The main probe line didn't have that many probes. The natural probe line didn't have that many probes. So this may be 3-base Protoss, but he doesn't have enough money to support carriers and gateway units and build a 4th Nexus. He's very committed to making these 3 bases just in the game.
Yeah, now, there is a 4th base possibility in the top right for Sharp. But after that, he's gonna have to establish more map control because he has to expand to the left. And of course, Mini is always sharking around the left, controlling it. This base right here, see? We just have Terran following Protoss around. But look at the left, by the way. Yeah, I was just about to say, if they would show us the Vulture raid there. So delaying the expansions, continuing to use Vultures while you're playing against carriers. It is really the key to out-macroing a Protoss. But the other key is to expand, and we don't have that. You actually want to be ahead on bases as Terran.
Right, well, Terran knows where the carriers are. You can see he's repositioning a lot of his units. The Goliath count is not high enough to deal with these 5 carriers, by the way. He needs something like 12 to 15 carriers. So actually, we may have base trade scenario. Mini's going to sack his 3rd base, but Sharp is about to lose his main and natural.
Yeah, Mini has finally outmaneuvered Sharp. It's so difficult to just perfectly mirror everything and be reactive. And at this point, finally, Mini has done it. He was sharking around, waiting for a mistake. This is it right here.
Yep.
When you get on top of the factories, you basically never lose.
Yep, we've got Protoss on top of the factories, and if somehow those factories don't die, now it's going to be Terran attacking into high ground that also has carriers to support it. So this is most likely going to be the game-ending move. Mini, he is moments away from taking this game and this series. He's up 80 supply at this point. All the tanks are dying.
Yeah. Okay, well played by Mini. So we're gonna have a Protoss after all in top 8. A lot of people are probably happy about that, right?
Yeah, we at least have 1 Terran, 1 Zerg, and 1 Protoss so far in the round of 8, and of course we're gonna have another Zerg coming out of the final group. So we've got every race, which means we've still got potential for every race to make it into the finals.
Yeah, that was some brutal play, dude, by Mini. That was just like... That was some final boss level energy, where... I mean, he just brought off everything. He was like stealing the gas, he was going carriers, he was doing 12 Nexus. And that's what you should be doing, You should be using your strengths in the matchup.
Yeah, I think Sharp recovered quite well. After his failed initial attack with the 6 tanks, I thought, okay, well, there's no chance that we can win now. But he actually got to a 3rd base. He had good upgrades. He had maxed out army. But like you said, the positioning, the non-stop repositioning of the carriers over and over and over is just a little bit too much to handle. But regardless, Sharp really did play well today. His first game was amazing. Game 3 was crazy. And even though he lost the last game here, I feel like he really did deliver this series.
Yeah, it looked worse than it was, okay? Like, a few different things, and he could have smashed. He could have totally taken this.
Yeah, look at the worker count. 53 to 50.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
yeah, if you're not behind... I mean, the only reason this is, like, not great for Terran is that it was 12 Nexus, and he really didn't do anything about that. Because normally speaking, if you're on 3 base versus 3, and it's looking like this in terms of probe count and supply count, you're taking a 4th behind us and just out-macroing the carriers,
Yeah. when I was watching this unfold with all the Goliaths dying, I was thinking, well, maybe if he had like 4 or 5 turrets just all stacked up right there, he maybe would have been able to hold. But of course, the turrets don't help you versus the ground army, and Sharp had no mines set up. So either way, Mini would have gotten in and busted this base. And you could see Sharp was taking top right. He had a 4th command center coming down, but he was just way too out of position.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he didn't do anything about Nexus first, you know? Like, there was no bunker rush, there was no anything. It just making sense, you know? You're playing from behind from the very beginning when you just let the Protoss do that.
Yeah, well, he did have to go for that fast scout and then 11 gas just to have a normal factory timing, and maybe he just didn't have the money to afford for something like a bunker rush, or he wasn't willing to risk, pulling the boys in game 4. But regardless, got to give props to Mini. Like you were saying, he's beast mode today. He pulled out all the stops. He really was abusive with the counterattacks and his playstyle, especially on La Campanella with the Reaver harassment.
Yeah, that was a very well prepared strategy. Totally using the map right there. Even though it was Sharp's pick, it looked like it was Mini's pick, for sure.
Yeah, before the games even started, you had a feeling that of all Protoss players you want to face on La Campanella, I feel like Mini was the last one you want to face, because you know how good he is with the drops, and he really showed why he's so good with the drops, because that was a clever play to elevate her in. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, honestly, dude, very creative, very innovative, very intelligent. You know, both games he went carriers. He actually just went for the carriers to capitalize on an earlier advantage he got. So the carriers themselves didn't really do anything, right? He actually won the game before then, and then just finished it off with the carriers.
Yeah, that is true. I will say this about his carrier play. I was very worried, because if we look at how the games were initially set up, like, Mini was very low econ on the La Campanella game too. Like, he didn't take a third base forever.
Yeah.
This game we just saw, yes, he had a somewhat fast third base, but he only had 50 probes total. And if the carriers don't work, well, you don't have big econ to fall back on. You pretty much had a huge economic lead with the 12 Nexus, but then you didn't, compound that big economic lead into an even bigger one.
Yeah, exactly. What he did is he compounded the Nexus first into a strong mid game, which he then used to outmaneuver Terran. And Sharp kept up for a while, but if you're just always having to react and play perfectly, and like when you mess up, you die, but the opponent is just forcing you to play perfectly again and again and again, eventually you will mess up. That's like the attacker's advantage, or part of it anyway, in StarCraft.
Yeah, so it was a valiant effort from Sharp, but a little bit too much multitask in Mini's favor. Well, you're not going to be casting with me tomorrow with Group D, or not Group D, with the final round of 8 matches.
I'm assuming there's going to be a certain Zerg enjoyer instead.
Yeah, Zerg enjoyer is going to be with me. But do you have any thoughts on that series? It's going to be action versus effort.
Well, ZVC, so I'm glad he's casting it, because he's actually very good at ZVC. He's beaten Ian Zerg, actually, is the guy I'm talking about, by the way, of course. He has actually beaten several pro gamers, and I feel like half of them are Zergs, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, yeah, he's beaten Light, for example. He didn't beat Flash as far as I know, but like, he's beaten a bunch of great players, like Lost, Light, just S-tier players. But a lot of Zergs too. His ZVZ is actually really good, so good choice to commentate that. My ZVZ, of course, was Dog Poop. I actually switched from Zerg to Terran to avoid ZVZ, so yeah.
Well, I'm in the same boat there. Like, I really do like Zerg, but every time I think about playing Zerg, first off, it comes down to, well, do I want to play Zerg versus Protoss on the ladder every time? The answer is no. But at the same time, ZVZ, unless you've got god tier mutiling control, I feel like that's kind of a wasted matchup for a lot of Zerg players, because a lot of them will just ling all in, as their main strategy. You don't really get to mid game in that type of matchup very often. But I wish I did have the ability to have the Mutamicro like Eon Zerg, but I just don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, Mutamicro, in general, it's got a skill floor, it's got a skill ceiling, but then Muta Scourge Micro, holy smokes, dude, that is like S-tier difficulty in StarCraft. Like, you're not gonna find anything that's more difficult than that in the whole game. It's like SK Terran, TVZ, and like Scourge Muta ZVZ, basically. It's like, that's it, boys, that's what we have, that's the hardest stuff.
Yeah,
But as for the games, that's what you asked about. You asked about what I think about the games. I don't know who's going to win, but I'm very happy to see Effort being this good again. I think he is a very unique player with his own style. You know, like he beat Flash with basically, like twice he did. It's so funny. He expanded towards Flash, like this stupid in-your-face go kill me expansion, and then Flash wanted to kill it, and then he obviously made speedlings and ambush Flash. Like it's so obvious, but he did it to Flash. Like you have to expect the speeding ambush when there's an expansion like that, right? He did it in OSL, and then I think he did it in either KSL or ASL twice. You know, so I find that pretty funny.
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons that I really didn't like Effort for a while. Not because he beat Flash, but it was just because I think Flash was up like 3-0 in that series or something.
Yeah.
And then it was just Ling all in, Ling all in, Ling all in, Ling all in, and they won. I'm like, okay. I guess all this guy can do is Ling all in. But I was converted after seeing more modern games of Effort with this insane macro. And you know, Action's no slouch either. This guy's great in Zerg versus Terran, but he's clearly great in all the matchups too. And we got Hive Tech game in round of 24, and that was also Action versus Effort. So I have high hope for that series.
So Action won a Hive ZVZ, which is pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he was the one who instigated the Hive. I think he just reactively won Hive because his opponent did. So I'm not sure we're going to see any Hive from Effort and Action. But I will say that Effort doesn't always play standard, so he could go Hive. I don't really know what he's doing in ZVZ these days, but he's always doing his own thing. He always has his own ideas for how to play. Like, for example, he went Lurker first into a macro game against Light and won in ASL. You know? That's like an off-meta style. So we could see anything, really, from him.
Yeah, I've got high hopes for the series. Really hope it does deliver. Even if we don't get Hive Tech, it's, like you said, it's always cool to see the Muta Scourge micro because it's crazy. Like you don't get to see it really in the foreign scene unless you're getting Eon Zerg versus Zeki, for example. Pretty much everybody else is just no contest unless True Touches come back. And our interview is over, so we are going to be wrapping up the day in just a moment. I'm sure we're going to get a rundown, which we are right now. We saw Sharp start off so strong in Game 1. I thought, wow, maybe this is finally Sharp's time. But then Mini went beast mode, and he said, not today, sir. 3 wins in a row, and he moves into the round of 4, and will now be waiting the winner of Action versus Effort.
Yeah, Mini just took it to the next level, where it's like, okay, you can play a standard game, so I'm just gonna not play standard. Can you deal with this? Yeah. And Sharp couldn't, you know?
Yep, it was not up to the task, but I think Sharp fans should be content with his result because it's been so long, as they mentioned in the graphics. It's been 8 seasons since he's made it into the round of 8, and now maybe finally Sharp is over the hump, whether it's a mental block or whatever the issue was, but now he's made it to the round of 8, and I look forward to seeing him play in ASL 17, and we're getting a look at how the round of 8 has gone so far. We had a blowout in the first day, 3-0. Then we had an epic series, 3-2, Solkey bringing it back versus JYJ. I think this series was quite epic too, but Mini getting the win, and then of course we're waiting for the final series tomorrow.
Yeah, so we got 1 of each race in the top 4 so far, right? And then we're going to have 1 more Zerg, I guess. So it's going to be 2 Zerg, 1 Terran, 1 Protoss, right?
Yep, and looking at the maps, we've got Standard. Invader has had some wild builds with the close hatch to the ramp. I remember Queen pulling that out.
Yeah, that's a thing now. That's like the 2v2 thing that people are doing in 1v1 now. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got Standard, but then after we get past the first 2 maps, I hope it's 1-1 so that we can get some weird maps like Invader, La Campanella. And if we get to Tempest, that could be crazy because that map, I've only seen a couple games on it, and one of them was Jadong versus Queen, and they also almost got the Hive Tech there. So hopefully we can get to Game 5.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching this. It's going to be pretty sick. Rest of this tournament in general, yeah, it was so funny. People were dooming about Protoss. They're like, oh, we're not going to have a Protoss in the round of 8. And then we only had Mini for a long time. But then it's like 1 Protoss, 1 Terran, 2 Zerg anyway, so you know, it ended up being pretty balanced in the end. All things considered.
Yeah, if all you have is 1 player and that 1 player is Mini to represent your race, I'd be feeling pretty confident that he could still go deep in the tournament, and he's delivered so far. Alright, we are now back on the caster, so we are approaching the end of the cast. You have any final words, Voddy, before we get out of here?
Well, I don't know. I think I said everything, dude. I mean, I guess I can talk about the maps a little bit. Like, if you're gonna go Hive, then these are some good maps to do it on. For several reasons. Like, on Tempest, you got the very easy 3 bases. On La Campanella, you also do, right? So, I don't know if either of these players wants to do it, though. It's gonna be... I would expect maybe, if effort is feeding that. You know, some players don't really like to go for that, some players do. The most notorious Hive user in history was probably Great, who pretty much always went 3-hatch Hive in ZVZ, and he was like a pretty strong, A-tier pro gamer during Kespa.
Yeah, and I remember in that, was it that finals of the Star League, he was bragging about how he's going to have a Hive game versus, was it Hydra, by Hydra? And he was bragging like, well, if we get to Hive Tech, I'm not going to lose, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think Hydra took it to Hive Tech and still ended up winning, but...
Wow. All right, well...
Yeah, so maybe we can get there. Are we... I'm not sure if we're signing up just yet, but before we go, I know a lot of people like your casting, but what about playing? There's only a couple more days left in BSL. You have any intent on trying to make it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to play BSL this time. I was pretty trash at the game until... I mean, I'm not good yet, but I'm like half decent, okay, at this point. Like, I'm kind of getting there. I don't have a TVP yet. I'm only okay in TBZ, that's all I have. So, BSL, I don't think so. Like, I am a patron. I might watch the tournament. I'm going to watch the finals at least. I'm going to watch a bunch of it. So I like the tourney. It's just I'm kind of weak at the moment, and that's why I'm not going to be playing in it, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because my games would be disgraceful, so, you know.
Okay. Well, I don't remember that from watching your games. I remember, what was it, you versus Medino or Wolfix or somebody? You had some crazy Terran versus Terran? Maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah, I played... I guess TVT was my best matchup when I was playing BSL. At that point, probably. But if I were to play now, like... I played in Broodwar Clan League. Like, I've just recently started playing because Broodwar Clan League is going, and my team wants me, so I'm like, fine, I'll play. And my games have not been played. I've won so far, barely. But it's, like, not convincing at all. I'm just, like... You're squeezing out a win, you know what I mean? That's what I've been doing so far.
Yeah, I know that feeling. You know, actually this weekend I was playing some games. You know, I was telling you I tried out that one tank, 6 Goliath strategy that we talked about a little bit off stream, and it was pretty decent, but yeah, I also don't have a TVP, so I still ended up losing that game, getting crushed by Boa. The NA scene is really strong right now. There's so many players.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really
you were
hard
talking about Boa in particular. I can actually hook you up with some replays of me beating Boa if you want to get some ideas.
Yeah.
However, I gotta warn you, they're like totally batshit insane. Like, I'm going for like bio-contain into macro, okay? So it's like bunker range in front of his base, stuff like that. I'm going like Ghost in another game, I think. If I can find those games, I'll give them to you, if you want.
Yeah, you'll have to hook me up with them because I think last time we were casting, I talked about how in Control we always had epic games when we played, but in terms of Nemesis on the ladder, I think my win rate versus Boa is like 5%, and I think I'm even being generous to myself saying 5%. It's probably even lower. I don't know what it is. I know he's going to go for a bus. I know it's 3 base bus. It just doesn't matter. I just never hold it.
Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe he's changed the way he plays, but he used to play a lot of low probe mass unit, try to be ahead in supply. And the thing about that style is, you don't have to do anything, you just don't die, keep expanding, keep harassing, don't take any risks, and you will eventually win if he stays playing that way, right? Yep. So, I have a game, I don't know if I saved it, but like, he was doing that all game basically, and I don't think I attacked ever. I was taking like half the map on Sylphid. So maybe, I mean, I'm not the best player to learn from, but I was playing this guy. That's why I'm offering you my replays, right?
All right, well, thank you.
And I've lost to him too. He's overall probably better than I am, probably. Well, right now he is for sure, but you know.
Well, that's it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with Eon Zerg to cast Action and Effort.
Yeah, good games. Thanks for having me, and make sure to watch the rest of this tournament. I promise you, it's gonna be sick.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be sick.